everybody. How are you? Okay, good. Good. I'm really sorry I missed the start, so I'm going to ask a few questions to start off with. Bit of participation, okay? How many people are currently an ABMer? That's brilliant. How many people aren't? Okay, everyone else. How many people are from a tech brand? Okay, good stuff. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right, so I'm going to share some stuff with you. So this is what I'm going to cover. Quick bit of creds about me, my ABM journey, so that you can understand the ups and downs that I've been through and how we've dealt with them from Fujitsu. Why bother, actually? I think it's always worth reminding ourselves why we're doing this stuff. A bit about competencies, and then the core bit, which is the thing you want to know about the anatomy of an ABMer, how to be an ABMer, and what you can do to be one. And I've got a short video at the end, which is always a good thing to do, I think. Okay. So a bit about me then. So I'm currently head of account-based marketing and deal-based marketing at Fujitsu across EMEA, Europe, Middle East, India, and Africa. And I've been doing B2B marketing for 20 plus years, a bit longer than I want to talk about. So I'm qualified, as probably most of you are already, which is great. And if you're not, make sure you get qualified. And I'm on this ITSMA ABM Hall of Fame thing, which I'm quite proud of. And I think Bev might talk about that later. And I'm one of the magnificent 7 ABMers in this book. There's some other magnificent 7 ABMers here today, and I'm sure you'll see them later. I'll talk a bit more about this book in a minute. Has anybody read it? Yeah, that's brilliant. Good. I think you should. It's a really, really good book. Okay, a bit about my journey then. But actually, ABM has been around for quite a long time, as you probably know. So in '93, Peppers and Rogers kind of launched it, really, with their book, One-to-One Marketing. And there was some real early adoption in the market, in the tech market. So CSC did something really good in '97 around deal-based marketing. And then Accenture and Unisys were kind of early adopters as well, which was really good. My introduction to ABM was whilst I was at Logica, a brand that doesn't exist anymore, of course. And we were really active members of ITSMA. You're going to get bored of me saying ITSMA, by the way, because I think they're awesome. So I was first introduced to it then, and I kind of did some, but not in any programmatic way. So I was looking after industry marketing, so focusing on doing some account-based activity, I would say, rather than ABM. And then, roll forward a little bit, I joined Fujitsu, I think about 2010. Can't quite remember, to be honest. It's all a bit of a blur. And then I started to look at how we could roll out ABM in some sort of structured manner. So what does that timeline look like? So 2013, no real ABM. So actually, at the end of 2013, we're in our planning cycle, and I was thinking, what can we do different next year? How's marketing going to contribute to the business? And I had actually quite a bad cold at the end of that year, and I drank quite a lot of Benylin. And I thought, yeah, this might be a good idea. Let's do ABM. Let's not just muck about with it. Let's do ABM! So I decided that what we'd do is we'd launch it, just since it's in the UK, okay? We'd launch it with everybody in the UK marketing team, 58 people, taking on an account. If you haven't started doing ABM yet, don't do that. It kind of worked. So we trained everybody in a 2-day course for everybody. Everybody, the data guy, the PR guy, absolutely everyone had 2 days training with RTSMA. And we developed some specific stuff, so we were using Fujitsu terminology and case studies and things. And that was awesome. And to enable that, we had to do, obviously, quite a lot of things. First thing we had to do was stop doing some stuff to give people the space to do the new ABM stuff. So we stopped demand gen. We stopped lead gen. The business didn't notice. For a year. We started doing it again afterwards, but anyway. And we did other things. So we set up how-to guides, we set up mentor groups, a buddy system. So everyone, for instance, that was looking after an ABM account in retail were buddies, so they could share ideas, share assets, share thinking, all that stuff. We had templates. We had everything you could possibly think of. It was brilliant. So throughout that year, we started actually to identify some really good ABMers and some people that it just didn't work for them. So we rolled back the number of accounts based upon skills of our team and propensity from the business to want to do ABM. And at this time, this is a really important point, marketing paid for ABM. I'll come back onto that in a bit. So all worked really, really well. Okay, and at that time, our organisation started to think about how we could be less fragmented by country and more on an EMEA basis. And we launched our strategic growth programme called Top 100, not 100 accounts in it, just a stupid name. And ABM was automatically part of that strategic growth programme, which is fantastic. So all of a sudden, I had to look after 13 new strategic accounts that crossed Europe, Middle East, India and Africa, which was quite a challenge. But we did it, which was fantastic. So roll on, so that's 2015. So 2016, we started to, well, actually, in the year before, we started to additionally take on quite a lot of deal-based marketing, which I differentiate from account-based marketing. So account-based marketing is when you're looking at the whole account, so kind of over 3 years or whatever timescale that works for you, but it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Deal-based marketing, we could call it opportunity marketing, is when you've already identified an opportunity. There's a deal to be won. It's in the pipeline, there's a sales team on it. So we do deal-based marketing on those, using exactly the same techniques for ABM, but in a different time scale. It's shorter, you know the end point. So we started to do tons of that, which is really good. And I dedicated some specific resource for that because it was taking up so much time from the ABMers. So this year, I've missed out something really important. So in 2016, we also started to put in some rudimentary metrics. We kind of look at, on account-by-account basis, reputation, relationships, and impact on revenue. But one of the key marketing metrics that our organisation uses is influenced pipeline. So that year, my little team of 7 people did 60% of that influenced pipeline number. And the other 290 people in marketing did the other 40%. So we'd really managed to get some huge credibility, which meant that we were able to form this absolutely core team of dedicated ABMers. Now, all those other people that previously did ABM that we trained, because they had it now as part of their thinking, every time they did something, produced some content or were planning a campaign, they automatically thought about how it could be used in an ABM context. So if it was an asset, for example, on a white paper or whatever, they'd think about designing it in such a way that it was easy to tailor. So even if it's just a top and tail or stick a logo on, or just change the branding slightly so it's more customer branded. So everyone started to do that. So really, really positive thing. So 2017 now, we're starting to see further adoption of ABM across marketing and in sales, which is good. And we're also seeing some, I call it light touch. Michael called it account-based marketing activity rather than account-based marketing. Same thing, really. But actually, we count that as ABM in our organisation. And now my team is acting as a centre of excellence and helping some of those other marketing colleagues that want to skill up. And we've got e-learnings and all sorts of things that people can use. So what does next year look like? Well, we're going to scale up. We've done all of this as strategic ABM. You probably got that idea. But now we want to scale. So we're looking now at doing some sort of blended model. So we can think about ABM light, one to few. And that's what we're going to think about next year. And the reason we can do that now is we're finally, at the IT company, introducing some MarTech. So we've done it all with spreadsheets and Salesforce. So you don't need to invest tons and tons of money. So I mentioned we put all these how-to guides together and everything. We did loads of training, and part of that was really making sure we had a very clear definition of what ABM is for sales and marketing. Do you remember, this is sales and marketing absolutely working together. So the ITSMA definition, you're probably aware of it, is about treating an account as a market. I use this definition, which is just a little bit different. It's very much strategic. It's very much relevant to our customers, getting the right content and messages to them. sales and marketing working together really properly. This only works if sales and marketing work as a team. It's a proper collaboration. And one of the things we talk about quite a lot, as well as the 3 R's, relationships, reputation, and I've completely forgotten the other one, revenue, is to open doors and deepen engagement. So, why are we bothering? So we know, don't we, that the way customers are buying, especially in our field, is absolutely changed. You know this stuff already, okay? I don't need to tell you this stuff. So everyone's move is shifting left in terms of how we need to engage with our customers. I'll put like this bottom stat. So this is a CEB analysis one, that 57%, the customers are 57% of the way through their journey before they engage with a supplier. Actually, I think Forrester say 68%. So our response to that has got to be that we look at how do we possibly engage customers far, far earlier. And that's where ABM has a role to play. The other thing to think about is that the marketing metrics stack up. So again, this is an ITSMA metric. 87% of companies that they survey as a membership say that ABM delivers higher ROI than other types of marketing. I think actually B2B say that 97% of marketers doing ABM say it's the highest ROI driver in their marketing mix. Right, numbers, okay. But what does that really mean? It means everyone's doing ABM. It means everyone's focusing on the same customers. It means your competitors are doing it. It means you've got to do it. At the minute, you've just got to cut through, and you've got to do it. This is the way forward. All right, so this is the meat. Where to start? So there's lots of things to do in preparation. I'm really encouraged to see that quite a few people are already doing it. That's brilliant. For those that haven't started doing it, this might be probably more relevant to you. But for those already doing it, hopefully it's a bit of a refresh. So there's lots of things to do, okay? Got to identify the right accounts. You've got to agree all this stuff with sales. You've got to train sales in ABM as well. You've got to skill up your people. You've got to get the right processes in place. You've got to be clear on how you're going to measure stuff. So Michael mentioned some measurement earlier. Identify what you're going to do, stop doing, to find space for this. You've got a secure budget. You've got to identify the right agencies. And as you've seen, there's loads of really good agencies here today. You've got to skill up the people that are going to support the ABMers. So the Marcoms people, the PR people, the data people, the ops people, the events people, the whole marketing ecosystem that you have in your organisation. But in my experience, the only way this works properly is if you've got the right people doing ABM in the first place. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So where do you find them? Or do you grow them? So without doubt, you can train people to be an ABMer. I've done it. I've done it 58 people and then again with other people. So you can do it that way, which takes time. So if you've got time on your hands, then do it. Actually, you should do it anyway. So lovely. So I've got a really young ABMer in my team, a guy in France, actually, a guy called David. And he's been doing it since kind of January. It's a graddie, which I wouldn't normally recommend you go with, but he's just passed his ABM accreditation, so which is brilliant. And he's got 2 of our strategic accounts. 2 of our strategic accounts. A massive amount of budget or revenue opportunity coming in, and the graddie's doing it. It's fantastic. So, but he's got the right shaped brain. Okay. So finding ABMers in the market actually is really not easy. Actually, there's quite a few here. Come and talk to me. So if you're starting on your ABM journey now and need to repurpose some of your existing people, let's think about what skills they need. This is the ITSMA competency model. I really like this model, actually. In my experience, good ABMers, great ABMers, have most of these things. And you can see that it covers quite a lot of stuff. If you think about all those things in that model, most of those competencies will be seen, not in a graddie like David, but in people that have been around for a little while, to put it in a nice way. So they've done multiple roles in ABM. Maybe they've been responsible for a business line or a service line or a region. So they've experienced most of the marketing mix. So they know what to use when, how to budget, how to source agencies, etc. Actually, different now. This competency model, these bits in the middle, are the steps that we follow. Now, I'm not going to talk huge amounts about the steps that we follow because I want to talk about what an ABMer looks like, but Michael touched on this earlier. You cannot do ABM without really good account and market intelligence. It starts with insight. ABM is about getting to know your customer. If you don't do that, you're doing account-based marketing activity, not account-based marketing, in my opinion. So get insight, get lots of it. You cannot have too much. If you do nothing else, read their annual report. So secondly, identify the customer strategy. I mean, it sounds obvious, doesn't it? But it's really important because then you need to work out what your strategy is to help them achieve their strategy. And then that's the account strategy, and then you build the marketing strategy off of that. It underpins what they're doing there. Also, be clear on who in the account you need to think about. So an account isn't a logo. It's made up of people. And they've got agendas, they've got initiatives, they've got things that are keeping them awake at night. They've got KPIs. So think about how you can help them, the people, the individuals. Next, we call it tailored value propositions. Michael called it perspectives. Same thing, really. Thinking about, from the customer's perspective, how you can help them. I'm not going to dwell on this, but again, think about it. The CEO might need a different tailored proposition, value prop for him than the CFO, because they're going to have slightly different things that keep them awake at night. And then, of course, final bit: build your integrated marketing campaign plan. Budget it, agree it, all that stuff. Everyone cool with that? Yeah, it's the same model as Michael used, really, and actually we've got a kind of process thing that we use. So let's talk about the anatomy of an ABMer. So if we assume then that the best ABMers are human beings. There's no more words, actually, after this. It's all pictures. So if we assume that we're all human beings rather than a bunch of technology, I'll try and explain in bits and bobs of bodies what they look like. So first thing, what a lovely picture. So what does this say? This says, be quick to respond to a request from your stakeholders, whoever they may be. I don't mean just doing what's asked, be quick to respond. What's really important here is that your internal stakeholders will say, I need a newsletter. And your job is to say, hang on a minute, let's think about what we're trying to communicate to who. And is a newsletter the right thing to do? Personally, I hate newsletters. The first one's good, the second one's okay, the third one's crap, and the fourth one doesn't happen. So, just don't do it. Just don't go there. I've got a bit of a thing about microsites as well, but okay, catch me after coffee on that one. If you build the right plan in the first place, you can be responsive because you've already thought about what the asks are going to be. And actually, if you are out of those starting blocks first, you're telling the account team what they need to do. They're not asking you for a newsletter. Okay, put your feet in the shoes of the customer. So why is this important? Insight is so important. As I mentioned before, you've got to walk in their shoes to really understand what's going on in their world. So really take the time to do that. And think about what's happening, the trends in the industry, what's going on with them, what are their customers demanding, all that stuff. You cannot underestimate how important that is. And you've got to do it really proactively. So can't emphasise that enough. I'm just checking my watch because I did promise Joel I'll make some time up. And then, of course, if you're doing that, you can be really relevant to your customer. Next, that's legs. Okay, there's a lot of power in your legs. An ABMer can be really powerful. If you've really understood your customer, if you created a brilliant plan based on the account plan, then you've got the power because you're calling the shots, especially in strategic ABM. I've got loads of examples from my organisation, and especially with a really great ABMer who's in the room, actually, Natalie Field. Sorry, Nats, don't know where you're sitting now. She's over there earlier. Grab her for coffee. She's fantastic. She's driven the account strategy for one of her accounts rather than responding. So that's a huge amount of power. And as ABMers, as experts in marketing, Michael mentioned be the expert, then it's such a powerful place to be in. Next one, I'm rushing a little bit. You can't get away from it. ABM is hard work. You need elbow grease. That's where the elbows come in. But it's hugely rewarding. Someone once described being an ABMer as being the CMO, which is kind of right, really, because you're controlling everything for that market of one customer, which is lovely. So But to be able to do that, you've got to work as this peer person with the account team. You've got to manage your stakeholder. Because most ABMers, well, actually in my organisation, most ABMers wouldn't do more than 4 accounts. We couldn't do the 1 to 10 that Oracle do, just wouldn't work for us. So a lot of the ABMers actually are only doing 2, which is fantastic. If they did more than that, I think we'd be looking at burnout, and no one wants to do that, do they? But if they do, that means there's other jobs for other people. Okay. So hands-on. This really is a hands-on game, really. You are setting the strategy, but also a lot of the time you're physically doing stuff yourself. We talked about insight already. Do the insight yourself. Reading somebody else's research report is okay, but you don't really get under the skin of your customer if you do that. So make sure you do that. But some things, obviously, you can use an agency for. So if you really want to understand, for example, the way that you're an individual in your account, so whoever you're targeting, CFO, for example, how do they like to receive information? It won't be a newsletter, but it might be diagrams, or there might be a numbers person, CFO, for instance. So just understanding how they consume information can be hugely powerful, because that can influence how you execute and what assets you create. And if you want to do a video, stuff like that, then you would write the script. You get video, a company would do it, but you would write the script. So take control, be hands-on. It's your account, make sure you own it all. I talked about Nat's earlier. I'm going to embarrass her a little bit now. I don't have any pictures, Nat. You're right. But she was so hands-on. One of the accounts that she's working on, we rolled out some stuff in lorries. So she spent a day in the cab of lorries, going on the deliveries to see how the lorry drivers were responding to what we'd rolled out. So really, really hands-on. She's there in a high-vis jacket. I don't think she wore a hard hat, but it wouldn't have been out of place. And I've got a really good hands-on thing to share with you in a bit. Brain power, serious amounts of brain power. My boss calls this having high MIPS, millions of instructions per second. Yeah. And you kind of need that, because you need to be clear on the objective. You need all the insight stuff, and then be clear on the objectives. What are you going to do? It's not just taking the account objectives and translating that, straight slide to your ABM objectives. You've got to really turn what an account wants to do into marketing objectives. So what's the marketing support going to be for those account objectives? And then, of course, doing all of that in the language of the customer. We haven't talked much about that, actually. We probably don't have time now. Sorry about that. Catch me again. Eye for detail. Absolute eye for detail. I think most of us in the room have probably got it, and that's part of what makes us good marketeers. If you're an ABMer, you've got to be really on this, especially if you're doing multiple accounts, because it can be really easy to just let some sloppy sector message go to an account when you want to have made it relevant to them. Use their language. And make sure it's gone at the right time as well. Timing can be quite important, actually, when you're trying to influence the people that you need to influence. Pay attention as well that your stakeholders internally, your salespeople, are doing what it is they've said they would do. So don't underestimate that. And the other thing, Michael mentioned this, is keeping an eye out for when your customer is ready to be an advocate. Having strong advocates is something that's hugely, hugely powerful. Okay, ears to the ground, internally and externally. Makes sense, right? Yeah, cool. I'm whizzing through now. What's this one? Enthusiasm! Doesn't pick me. So what makes a great ABMer? I think the difference between a good ABMer and a great ABMer is somebody who really wants to do it, because for all those reasons I've just talked about, it's hugely, hugely hard work. So when you're thinking about who you pick, think about enthusiasm as part of their makeup. And if you're thinking about getting into ABM yourself, thinking about the skills you need, don't discount that. Be enthusiastic about it. Ironically, I couldn't find a picture for creativity. Sorry about that. So I just wanted to share with you something that I've done this week, and this probably explains why I've run out of MIPS and couldn't find a picture for creativity. Part of what I do in my team is I look after, at our big events that happen twice a year. One's in Munich. It's on this week. I've flown in from there. I look after those accounts we care most about, so our VIPs. So I run a VIP stream. And part of that is a dinner on the Tuesday evening for those really select few, 80 people. Our theme at Forum, which is the name of the event this year, is digital co-creation. You might be using a similar kind of corporate strapline yourself, or digital transformation, or whatever it may be. So I was thinking, right, how do I make this event, this dinner, come alive with digital co-creation? Because it could be boring, couldn't it? I could just have an after-dinner speaker and case study, which is, it's okay, I shouldn't knock it. Good advocate is a good thing to have. But I wanted to really, really bring it alive. So I decided that I would get my customers involved in an activity as part of the dinner. And put a huge amount of effort into this. So we decided that we would get them to make a digital mosaic. Then I thought, using our technology, so lots and lots of tablets on the wall, get the idea. But if we're doing that, I wonder if there's a Guinness World Record available. And there was. So I'm going to show you what we did on Tuesday night in a quick video. It's only 2 minutes, okay? See if this works.
ABM, high-performing marketing teams, crucial role all the way from pipeline to close deals.
Attempting the Guinness World Records title for the largest animated tablet computer mosaic. Working within the village, and as I hope you all counted it today, we have 220 computer tablets. Therefore, you guys have achieved a brand new Guinness World Record.
So 30 seconds if I can, Joel. So we did the 3 R's there, the relationships, reputation, and then I sold all those tablets to my customers and did the revenue bit as well. Fantastic. Very, very cool. So everyone now is officially amazing there. So what do you need to do? Get the most of today. If you want to be an ABMer, get the most out of today. If you want to be an ABM superhero, ask questions, talk to people. Nats is here. She's the best ABMer I've ever met. You never stop learning. I learn every day, and I'm sure you will. So to make the most of it. Read this book. Now I'm out of time. Thank you very much, everybody. Happy to take questions later on.